Welcome back to the Legacy Innovators podcast. Today we have Jeff McKnight, owner of the Hotshots, Columbus Hotshots. Jeff, it's great to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate the offer.
Yes, sir. Can you kind of start off by just sharing the story of how the Columbus Hotshots came to be and sort of what inspired the launch of a professional pickleball team in Columbus?
Sure. Like a lot of people, I got interested in pickleball around the COVID time. That's kind of when the sport blew up. Sport's been around for a long time, but during COVID, when people were looking for different activities to do, that's when the local community, the local suburb, Grove City here in Columbus, opened up dedicated pickleball courts. So that's when I started playing as soon as those courts were open in October of 2020. So I started playing pickleball and I fell in love with the sport. I'd played a few times before that, so I knew I'd like it, but I just hadn't got the opportunity to play regularly. And so I was heading into an empty nest period. My kids were driving and taking themselves to ball practices and things like that. So I had more free time on my hands. So it all worked out as kind of a perfect storm for me and a lot of people that got caught up in the pickleball craze during COVID. That's what happened. I started playing a lot of pickleball in 2020. And then every night that the weather was good for the next few years, I was playing a lot of different pickleball. And kind of a magic age in pickleball is turning 50. So I just happened to turn
Right.
50 a few years ago also. So 50 gets you in that senior pickleball bracket. So you
Right.
kind of separate yourself. If you want to be a tournament player, 50 years old, gets you into that, we call it champion age pickleball. So that's what happened. I got turned 50 and wanted to start playing some more advanced tournaments. And I'd heard about the National Pickleball League, which was just completing its first season. And
Okay.
so my dad and I have always been involved in family businesses. And so he was actually with me at a pickleball tournament, and we were just had all day to talk. And I was telling him the different aspects of the sport and things like that. And I said, there's a league I'd like to try out for, but I think it's kind of interesting to be involved in a new professional sports opportunity, and that definitely piqued his interest. He was recently retired, but still was around quite a bit. Have traveled, so that's kind of a snowballed together. So we reached out to the National Pickleball League and had the opportunity to get an expansion team for the 2024 season in Columbus, Ohio.
That's
Wow. It's awesome, man. That's awesome.
what
So go
no,
ahead,
go
coach.
ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask what the response from the community around Columbus has been like since you started the team.
Yeah, it's been great. Pickleball, there's a lot of hotbeds of pickleball, of course, down in Florida where you guys are, Utah, California. But now it's really all the major cities in the United States has a large pickleball community, and certainly Columbus, Ohio is one of those also. So again, when I first started playing, it was all playing on outside courts. But now there is a lot of different indoor facilities where you can play year round,
Yeah.
great facilities like paddle taps. We've had two National Pickleball League tournaments at paddle taps the last couple of seasons. So there's opportunity to play year round. And so I've got to know a lot of people in the Columbus community, and that community keeps growing. So they've been nothing but supportive for the Columbus Hotshots. And that's kind of our goal as a team, to be an ambassador for especially the 50 and older player, that they can, if they're just now getting into pickleball or if they've been playing for a few years, they can have some people they can kind of relate to and watch live stream our matches and give them
Sure.
something to cheer about, and then watch the professional players play and pick up some pointers and things like that.
That's
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's awesome. I think I mentioned on our last call that one of the kind of team building exercises that I have for on my collegiate team last year in college for basketball was playing pickleball, and that was actually one of those indoor facilities that you're talking about. It was really nice. Like I had a great time, so I really enjoyed playing pickleball. Um,
Yeah, that's the beauty of pickleball, is that it's easy to learn. So you can get a group
yeah,
of guys, especially a group of athletes.
yeah,
And it's maybe you guys aren't, I know you're a basketball player, but those guys aren't necessarily tennis players or things like that. But if you've got any athletic ability, you can learn sport of pickleball in a few minutes. and you can get increasingly better after, a time or two of playing it. So that's one of the beauties of pickleball.
Yeah, my full-time gig is I work for Zillow, and one of my team leads actually for Christmas a couple years ago gave us all pickleball sets and stuff. And I kid you not, I've never opened the thing. Like it's like and like it's funny because it's literally it's really catching on. I mean, you see a lot of big name celebs and athletes that are doing it now. I think Cobes, wasn't it not too long ago we saw like Kevin Durant had a pickleball. He was out on a pickleball court, stuff like that. So that's it's definitely something that, especially being north of 50 myself, that I wouldn't mind getting into here.
Keep you in shape
for sure. Yeah. My kids are always getting on me about I'm out of shape. So
once you open that up, you might get addicted to the sport like a lot of people. It's easy to learn how to play. It's a fun social activity.
Right.
One thing that got me into it was when I first started playing, my son was still involved in a lot of AAU basketball tournaments. So we would travel across the Midwest. And the beauty of pickleball is it's got kind of an open play culture. It's not like golf where you have to set up a foursome, or basketball where you at least have to set up 6 guys to play. You can show up at any park that has pickleball with just your paddle, and you can rotate in with the matches. So you could be playing 15-year-old kids up to 80-year-old women, and with pickleball, it's there's not so much running around, so the physical ability is kind of there's an equator there. So you can't judge a book by its cover, and you can have a lot of competitive matches with a full range of people, which also makes it a great family activity. Also, you can have grandparents playing with grandchildren, and everyone walks away with a smile on their face.
That's cool. Sounds kind of like when you show up to the to a open run outside, and you got your 5 with you, and you just kind of rotate in when it's real competitive, and you got to keep winning in order to stay on the court. She might be sitting for a while, but that's really cool.
As being the owner of Columbus Hotshots, what have been some of the most rewarding parts of building and leading this team so far?
Oh, let's see. That's a good question. One rewarding part is certainly being able to do this with my father. So it is kind of an extension of a family business that we've had. So we've been in family businesses, but not necessarily working directly together. So we have, with the National Pickleball League, we have events scheduled throughout our season. So even if he's traveling different areas, we know we're going to meet up for the National Pickleball League events, and we have that to work through. And so we talk about team strategy and team drafting and things like that. So that's a big rewarding part for me. Another, we're in this because, again, to grow the opportunity to grow a professional sport. And so that's a big rewarding part to me, to see really any type of fan base. We started from scratch. So any type of fan base or fan interaction that we can get, we appreciate all of that. We want to become the leader. We want to be the most recognized team in all of team pickleball, not necessarily just the National Pickleball League. We want to be competitive. We want to win every year possible. Last year was our first season. We finished in second place. We're in our second season now. We're heading into the playoffs in a few weeks. We're currently have the number 3 seed. So I'm hoping that we have a good run in the playoffs and can win championships. So, it's all rewarding. It fires that competitive spirit up. We're trying to build a professional sports opportunity, and it's a lot of fun. So we love every part of it so far.
That's awesome. How many teams are in the tournament?
So the first season were 12 teams. Now we have, first season was 6 teams. Now we have 12 teams. So we're looking to expand more next season. So it's all 12 teams in the tournament. First 4 seeds have a first round bye. So we have a first round bye. We'll play the winner of the 6 versus 11 seed, and then go from there. So, all 12 teams are in the playoffs, and it'll be a lot intense weekend. Our championship in 2 weeks in Seattle. So that'll be my first time in Seattle, Washington. Yeah. All of National Pickleball League will be there. Yeah. National Pickleball League's filled with a lot of former high-level players. Of course, you have a lot of former tennis pros, D1 tennis players. You have pro racquetball players, table tennis, but you also have a wide range of other athletes too, because other sports translate also. You have soccer players, rugby players. We had Danny Warfel in the league, former Heisman Trophy winner.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pro baseball players, pro football players,
Sure.
D1 football players. So you see everything in National Pickleball League because, again, it's not, you don't do so much running around as tennis, and you're working on a badminton court. So it's a smaller court. So you have to keep the ball in place. So it's really more of a strategy game as opposed to an overpowering game.
More finesses involved. I would assume than just straight up overpowering somebody like you said.
Absolutely.
So when you think about the Hotshots brand, speaking of those, those other 12 teams, what would you say makes it unique compared to the other teams in the league or in the overall space?
Well, it's interesting being part of a new league, and we're all, as a league, working together to try to build the league, be ambassadors to the sport of pickleball. So we certainly, from a league sense, we want all teams in the league to succeed, and most importantly, the league to succeed and people to really grasp a hold of professional pickleball. So we're all in this together, but then each team has its own unique personality. Again, some teams put a emphasis on maybe more local players. If you have, for example, Southern California has a lot of local players there that on their team. Seattle is the birthplace of pickleball, so they've got a lot of local players. Columbus, Ohio, we've got 2 players. Myself and Laura Thornton are from Columbus. We've got 5 players on our team from Ohio. So we have more of our best players. Chris Headings, he's from Phoenix. Our best females, Natalie Bagby, she's from Los Angeles. So we all come together as a team, but we're trying to separate ourselves as being focused on winning the championship. Again, want the league to succeed, obviously, and we want all teams to have an equal chance, but we're in this for the competition. So we want to be known as the New York Yankees of the National Pickleball League. So that's how we kind of carry ourselves. We try to be the largest social media presence. We try to want every player in the league to want to play for the Columbus Hotshots because they know I'm going to work hard to try to elevate our player status and make superstars. If anybody's going to be a superstar out of pickleball, especially 50 and older, I'm going to work my hardest to make those players be Columbus Hotshots.
Wow. So would you say how many people are typically on a pickleball team? How many?
So with this season, we have 14 players on the team. So we have 7 guys and 7 girls.
Oh, if you guys, so when you think about talking to a novice and someone with very little education on pickleball like myself. So as far as ranking goes, right? Like in terms of levels, you have like minor league baseball, you have a couple different levels. In basketball, you got the G League and then, European leagues, and then you got obviously the highest level with the NBA. What would be like telling me in basketball language, right? Or in, baseball or football language? Are you CFL? Are you more European League, USFL or NFL? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so our league itself would definitely be the NBA of senior pickleball. So what pickleball's trying to do is figure out how to make it a professional sport. Is it a tournament-based sport like tennis and golf, or is it a team-based sport like baseball, basketball? So what the unique thing about the National Pickleball League is it's on a pod system. So we have 3 different pods. You have 2 players playing in each pod. So our pod 1 are the highest ranked. There's a ranking system in pickleball, similar to golf handicap. And so the highest pod players are certainly some of the highest, best players in all of pickleball, not just 50 and older, but certainly 50 and older playing in that pod 1 would be considered the NBA. Pod 2, and pod 3 would be a step down from those, but the competition is so tough. People are interchangeable between pods, but to answer your question, it doesn't get any better. If you're 50 years older, you're striving to play in the National Pickleball League because you're going to play against not just the best 50-year-old players, you're going to play against some of the best players in all of pickleball.
This sounds very similar to back in my dad, his grandfather played in the National Football League for 8 years, and he was with the Browns his first 3 seasons, and he was with the Redskins for 6. When he retired in mid 70s, and we moved out to Phoenix, Arizona, he got into racquetball, and that was when racquetball was really kind of starting to explode in the late 70s, and then obviously it was really popular through the 80s. And he, still being in good shape, being oh gosh, probably, early 30s, whatnot. He got into racquetball really heavy. And I mean, like big time, like almost like, he was still playing football. He prepared to play guys and they had tournaments schedules up and whatever, and he'd play on the weekends. And he was such a power player. Like he would bust racket, the balls, like he'd hit him so hard and whatnot. And he would sometimes get in and play against, because they had, I believe it was, it's been so long, but let's say A, B, and C level players, right? Now A's are the pros. He's not a pro, but started out as a C level player, just kind of. But once he learned the game, he was competing against A level guys and beating them. He was playing on a pro level for quite a while, but he wasn't classified as a pro because he wasn't doing it seriously. But his natural athletic ability, to your point, with other people from other sports like Danny Warfield and whatnot, they end up being super competitive and super talented and probably can play on that level. So it's really pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I might break open that set after all.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, get it out. And like you said, and that is one thing. People get into pickleball for different reasons. Some of it's the social aspect. Some of that's their hour and a half. I got a buddy, that's his hour and a half workout every day is playing pickleball.
Yeah.
He didn't want to play for 3-4 hours, but that's his workout. It's a social thing. But a lot of it is, for, like you just mentioned, former competitive athletes.
Yeah.
Again, you're out of sport for a while. What else competition do you have? Well, you can play pickleball where you have to move around the court some, but you're certainly not chasing a tennis ball around that big court. So it's a lot of strategy. It's a lot of shot placement. So you get that competitive urge fulfilled by not having to put out that full, athletic stress that you did. I was playing full court basketball at our local rec center in my 40s, running up and down the court until my son got in high school. And then I said, all right, that's enough for me. But
that sounds familiar, doesn't it, Cobey?
Yeah.
Once he got to a point, I want to say it was maybe 14, 15 years old, and we played one-on-one, and I beat him, but I knew, I'm not going to play anymore. I'm going to retire undefeated, because I had to actually work to beat him. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm not. You get to a point, he wasn't going to have bragging rights on me for the rest of his life.
Yeah, well, one-on-one's different, because 5-on-5 you can kind of hide and make some steals of ball. One-on-one, there's no hiding. I played my son one-on-one, and I couldn't stay in front of him, so that was it for me.
No, and it's funny because his grandfather told him the same thing. It got to a point. I think it was a little bit earlier for me, though. I think I was 12 or 13, and he couldn't beat me anymore. But he did the same thing. He retired undefeated because he used to just back me down in the post and just score, and I couldn't do anything with it because he was so strong. But running up and down the court 5-on-5, no, I haven't done that since early 40s, man. I'm not.
It's been a while.
He's from Seattle too, though, birthplace of pickleball. He was born in Seattle.
Yep, born and raised.
Yeah, nice.
Jeff, what challenges do you think pickleball as a whole, or the sport as a whole, will need to kind of navigate as it continues scaling, or whether that's fan engagement, athlete development, or logistics wise?
Tournament aspect of it versus, team play and that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges for the professionalization of pickleball. It's one of those sports where a lot of people say, well, I like to play it, but I don't necessarily like to watch it. So it's our job as a league to say, well, we want to make it, we have to build the storylines that make you want to watch it. We have to have the right camera angles. We have to have the best video production that make you want to watch it, because there's a lot of things you can pick up on by watching the pros play that'll help your game. Plus, again, if we build stars and personalities out of our players, then you have that connection with, that's going to make it one to watch. Also, I relate it to a couple different ways, like UFC. I used to watch UFC when Brock Lesnar was fighting. As soon as he stopped fighting and I didn't recognize any names, I don't watch UFC anymore because I don't know anybody. It's just two guys out there fighting. So if you don't have a personality to follow, then, you're not going to follow. So you have to build personalities out of players. Otherwise, it's just 4 people out there playing pickleball. And the other part is, again, people say, well, I like to play, but not necessarily watch. Well, I'm the same way. I don't watch, I'll go out and play golf with my buddies, but I'm not going to sit and watch a golf tournament on TV.
I'm like that with baseball, You know, I'll
Yeah.
go to the game and have a great time watching it, but I can't sit there and watch it on TV. And I haven't watched really golf competitively since Tiger stopped being active.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So again, you're following the personality. So
on the
Yep.
personality for sure.
But
You know,
what pickleball has is that there's so many people playing it. So the more people play, there's going to be a certain amount of people that do want to watch. So again,
right.
if watching, I'll go out bowling with my friends, but I'm not going to watch bowling on TV. But there's a
Right.
ton of bowlers that watch bowling on TV. So the more people play pickleball, the more people are going to want to watch pickleball. So it's our job to build up personalities and give them a reason to turn on the National Pickleball League and to follow the Columbus Hotshots, as hopefully we get a championship this season.
I'll tell you, to that point, it's funny you mentioned bowling. I just started to kind of get into it again, and I have not done it, with any type of real frequency, gosh, since probably before Cobey was born, and he's 24. So it's been a couple decades plus. And, I needed to find something that I could do where I could, again, just kind of get out there and just have some type of a workout, stuff like that. And I even went out, bought a ball, bought some fancy shoes and the whole nine. I started bowling, and I started having fun. And I was always a straight bowler. Like I never put a spin on it. Right. But now with this new age of social media, I go onto YouTube and I Google a few videos on how to spin the ball and different ways. And now I'm putting like a crazy hook on the ball and this, that, and the other thing. And now guess what? I'm coming home and I'm like, let me see if there's any bowling on today. I want to watch some more bowlers and stuff because I haven't watched it since like Pete Weber was, and again, that's a dynamic personality. He was real animated, used to do the whole, PW, B and all that. And so you have to have something that's going to draw people into it, either if it was from a past association or current or whatever. Like you said, you haven't watched since Brock played, Brock fought, and obviously Connor comes around and stuff like that. But I know what you mean. Yeah.
That's interesting because I kind of equate pickleball to, especially when people say, well, you're not getting viewership in pickleball. As I look at two sports that absolutely blew up online is darts and billiards. And
Yep.
again, those are rec room sports. And I
Yeah.
used to be a big billiards pool player and same type of deal. Once it got in my algorithm and I
Right.
started getting all these pool, how to make this shot, how to make that
Yeah.
shot. Now
Yeah.
I go down,
Down a rabbit hole.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
you
go
start
down
when you
and
start
shoot.
remembering our days back when we were kids and Minnesota Fats and all that stuff when it was real big. Cole, you're way
Steve.
too young to remember Minnesota Fats. He was like probably arguably the most famous, pool billiards player of all time. He was big fat dude, but he could play some pool. So
Yes.
that's
Yeah, so I think you have to have the quality product, and no
right.
one's going to watch. You can't fool people to say this is the best there is, and if it's not the best. But we're confident in the National Pickleball League that we have the best champions age players. So we have the best players. We need to make superstars out of those players, and we need to give the fans a reason to watch the events and build up our fan bases. So that's my job as co-owner of the Columbus Hotshots.
For sure.
Right on.
Well, and touching on that, running a professional team obviously is more than just the game day. It's operations, it's logistics, community outreach. So what parts of sort of the day-to-day do you find take the most like coordination?
With us being spread out throughout the country, we don't really get together as a team until the event weekend. So our typical event weekend is people fly into town on the Thursday. So we just finished up a weekend in Indianapolis 2 weekends ago. So we flew in on the Thursday, most of the team. We have a team practice Friday. There's a party Friday night, 2 matches Saturday, a team dinner Saturday night, and then 2 matches on Sunday. So that's a busy, hectic weekend. But you're right, during the week, especially the couple weeks leading up to that, we're trying to analyze the stats from the previous weekends. We're trying to figure out matchups, what players and which pods give us the best opportunity to win based on what we think the other teams are going to do. There's a lot of social media posts, kind of keeping engagement with our fans. This is what we did last time. This is what we got coming up. So, but I love all of that. So none of that is really work to me. It's time consuming for sure, but that's what we're in this for. And it's, kind of it's certainly a business, but it's a fun hobby also to try to build something from scratch and try to win at it.
Yeah. Well, and obviously when you're doing something that you love and that you're passionate about, it no longer feels like work as much anymore. Yeah, as you think about scaling Columbus Hotshots reach, whether that's connecting with more fans or building athlete opportunities, what do you see as sort of the next step for you guys going forward?
That's a good question. Probably more community outreach. The first season, we were definitely flying by the seat of our pants. This season moved a little slower for us, so we kind of know what to expect up ahead of us. But it's still, as soon as the season hits, it's a lot of activity. Our season runs from May until October, so again, we're just a few weeks away from our 2025 season wrapping
Oh
up.
wow, yeah, wow,
But we want to reach out to more businesses around Central Ohio. Say, hey, we'd appreciate any support you have of the Columbus Hot Shots. Let us work together. In the first couple of seasons, we really just tried to build up our social media, get our name out there, show up at different facilities so people can see what we're about. But our next step would really be more of partnering with some corporate sponsors and really utilizing their marketing departments to get our brand awareness out there even greater.
Okay, cool.
gotcha.
Um, so I guess then leaving you with one final question that I like to ask guests on the show. If I could wave a magic wand today to eradicate the biggest problem in your business, what would that be?
Mm, yeah,
Hmm. Biggest problem. Well, I don't know about that. That's, I had a guy I worked with for a long time. He said, they were never problems. They're just opportunities. So I
sure.
like to look at, of course, when you're in the middle of a giant problem, it sure didn't seem like an opportunity, but that's
Yeah,
what he would always try to coach me up. And, as I'm pulling my hair out. So
Sure.
I, I think probably just what we talked about earlier. We're trying to build a professional sport pretty much from scratch. So, how do we get more people knowing about the National Pickleball League and Columbus Hot Shots and giving them a reason to want to watch and follow along and maybe buy a t-shirt and be a lifelong fan for the next 20, 30 years,
Yeah,
because I certainly don't think pickleball is going anywhere. I don't think it's a
no,
fad like racquetball. I was a huge racquetball player in the early 90s just for really a couple of years, and then it was just harder and harder to find places to play and
right.
things like that. So I loved racquetball. I love pickleball just as much, if not more, of course, because I know I'm going to be playing pickleball at least the next 30 years or so of my life. So I think there's a lot of opportunity out there for the sport to grow, the professional side of the sport to grow. And I'm happy that I have a small opportunity to be a part of that.
Yes,
yeah,
sir. Yeah, I definitely I don't think it's going anywhere, especially just with the state that social media is in today. There's so many more ways to kind of get, your outreach and get your company out there and just get it out there to where, more people are seeing it that aren't familiar with the sport. Like for me, I hadn't heard of pickleball until I was able to go and actually try it for myself, and I walked away from it wanting to play more. So I hope more people can get the chance to play it, and hopefully we can get some Columbus Hot Shots gear pretty soon.
yeah, man. Shoot, I'll support, man, for sure. Make sure you let us know. I'm a double X, so I'm down. And it's a Buckeye team. So I mean, hey, I'm gonna rock. I'm gonna rep anything Buckeye related. Absolutely.
That's right. I'll get your guys' address after the show and shoot
Yeah,
you some
man.
gear.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, Jeff,
Love it.
where can the audience and people watching where can they find you and sort of find out more information about Columbus Hot Shots?
Yeah, just this is typical social media. And I did want to mention we do have a great sponsor this season, Great Lakes Hyundai of Columbus and Great Lakes Hyundai of Dublin. They've been really our first big sponsor, so they've supported us all season, and I appreciate them greatly. About social media, columbushotshots.com on the web page, but really we try to be big on Facebook and Instagram, just all Columbus Hot Shots. YouTube, I run a podcast, the Columbus Hotshots podcast, that kind of recaps the entire National Pickleball League season with a little bit of a focus on the Hotshots. And we're going to do more on that YouTube channel also. So really the usual suspects, we're out there, Columbus Hotshots.
Awesome.
Love it.
I appreciate it.